Welcome back to another episode of Excuse My Grandma. It's Kim and my co-host,
Grandma Gail.
So this week we have on Carrie Berk, who is 19. Anytime we have someone on who's younger than us, it just makes me feel some sort of way. However you feel every time we have a guest on.
Well, I thought it was a privilege listening to this young lady. She's very, very accomplished. Mm-hmm. She's written several children's books.
Yes, 21 books.
Right.
And the Cupcake Club, Fashion Academy, Ask Emma, things like that. It's like young children's books and
but
young
it's about more young adults, and it speaks out against bullying. She's very much into that theme, and I think she's done an awful lot of good things.
Well, since then, she's ventured to TikTok, where she has a following of more than 3 million.
Okay, that's more than us.
Yeah, well, exactly. And you thought we had more than that.
I did. I thought we were 4.5, but I was looking at the wrong figure.
Right. Well, if you guys don't follow us on TikTok, you should go right now because we post really fun videos, and we have 200,000 followers. So we're going to get into the conversation with Carrie. She shared a lot about what it's like being a writer and dating as a teen.
And also about her reality show that she was very disappointed about. So there are lots of issues, and she certainly was a wonderful guest, and I'm so glad we had her on.
Okay, guys, we are joined by Carrie Berk. She is a best-selling children's book author with 21 books. She also ventured onto TikTok, where you might know her from, where she has a following of more than 3 million. Carrie, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Carrie.
Thank you for having me.
So let's start with your age, where you're from, and your relationship status.
So I am 19 years old. I almost said 18. I just turned 19. Oh. I'm from New York City, and my relationship status is I'm currently dating someone, but not exclusive yet.
Okay. You know what exclusive is.
I know what exclusive is, and she's only 19 and she doesn't need to be exclusive yet.
Wait, so let me ask you this though. Do you think, not even just in this situation, but in general, that people should be exclusive before being boyfriend and girlfriend, or can you just skip to the boyfriend girlfriend and there doesn't need to be that like middle stage?
Well, I consider being exclusive boyfriend girlfriend. So if someone asks you to be exclusive, like I'd take that as like, okay, then now
this is my boyfriend.
Yeah. So right. I think to me, they're the same thing, but I don't know. There's something about like, I'm always like the type of girl who kind of like looks for a more meaningful connection, wants to be like boyfriend, girlfriend. Mm-hmm. So I don't know, this whole like dating world and like going around.
It's very tough.
It's tough. And it
is. It is, especially with all the apps and all this other stuff. I mean, you got to just, if you find a nice guy, stay with him for a few years.
Yes, that's the hope. I just joined my first dating app. How long ago? Like in November, maybe.
And how's that going? Which one is it?
Locks Club.
Okay. Yeah, we love Locks Club. We interviewed the founder on our podcast, actually, who's great, Austin Kevich.
I've gone out, I think, with like 3 guys from Locks Club, like 3 total dates. Well, no, 3 total guys. The first 2 were duds, and the third one is a gem. So
okay.
So that's great.
And then, so you're in college now, right?
Mm-hmm.
In New York City.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was in college, nobody was on apps. For me, most people I knew were really meeting in college, but I was also on a campus, and like you're in a city where there's more people. So are most of your friends on apps, or like, well, how did you make that decision?
So yes, most of my friends are on apps, mostly on Hinge or Tinder. Mm-hmm. I'm kind of suspicious of them because I think every one of those apps just like wants a hookup, and I'm like not interested in that.
Yeah.
So I have not joined either of those. I'm only on Locks Club. But as for meeting people in person, it's really hard because most of my classes, I'm a fashion studies minor, so most of my classes like are all girls, and like there's no like opportunity to really meet anyone.
So let's go back a little bit. What would you say like made you go viral originally on TikTok? Like, what do people know you for on there?
Okay, the first time I went viral on TikTok was for a fitness hack. I think I went viral in like May 2020. So it was like right at the beginning of the pandemic. Everyone was on their phones, and I was trying out this fitness hack that I found online. It's a Japanese ab workout, and it's how to get abs in 10 days. So it's basically you put a foam roller underneath your navel and you kind of like lay back and like put your arms behind you and you're touching. It was like some really weird position. And I was just doing it myself for like a week. And then I hadn't been viral on TikTok ever at this point. So I just posted a video on my TikTok, and like overnight it got like over 1 million views. And I was just confused because like I'd never gone viral. And I kept doing these fitness tutorials and they kept blowing up. And that's how my following really grew. It's weird because I don't do them anymore. I think people got sick of them. They realized that it was a bunch of bull. So I kind of stopped. But now my niche is kind of like product reviews, day in the life in New York City, basically anything and everything.
Right. I like the ones you do. You're like, it looks like food, but it's really soap. How did you figure out that that was gonna like do well with people?
Okay, so that was literally, I just posted one of those on a whim. Someone sent me a food soap from like AJ Sweet Soaps, and I thought it was so cute. And I just showed it off. And I think one of them got like 4 million views, which was really weird. I have no idea. It hit like 1 million likes the other day. I have no idea. So I just kept posting them, and I realized that every time I posted them, they would like reach 1 million views.
I like it.
Yeah.
So people like it. Apparently my audience likes it. So I just keep posting them. Whenever I have a bad algorithm day, I'll just post a food soap because I know it'll do well.
You have written so many children's and young adult books. I'm like so impressed that at 19, you have all of that under your belt. Did you always love writing, and how did that actually become like a business or profession?
Oh yeah, I've always loved writing. When I was 8 years old, I wrote my first book with my mom. It's called The Cupcake Club. The first book was called Peace, Love, and Cupcakes. And basically, I noticed there was a lot of bullying going on in my school. I was a peer mediator, so I'd walk around the schoolyard and I'd see all these people like trying to solve their issues on their own, but it not being successful. And that would be my job to basically go in there to intercede and to help them talk things out. So I've been trained in bullying since I was a little girl, and this is something that I've really tried to bring attention to through my books. So in the Cupcake Club, it's about these 4 girls who come together, they form this cupcake club, and they simultaneously combat bullying at their school because they're all outsiders and everyone looks down on them. But when they're together, they're unstoppable.
Do the books get into the public school system in New York? Well, certainly in New York City. Have they approached you? Because it's really something special. And I saw the illustrations. Do you do the illustrations as well, or you have somebody else do that?
I work with an illustrator. I stink.
They're adorable.
Thank you. Yeah, so they are in schools. They've been in schools for a bit now. It's really cool because when I was in elementary school, people would be like checking out my book in the school library. So sometimes. So
did that get you a lot of attention, like in a good way, or how did you?
I would say in elementary school, yes, because that's when it was all kind of happening for the first time. I think, I don't want to say, some news publication came to the school and shot for me. The Daily News, they shot for me on the roof, and I got to take some of my friends, and they were in a newspaper with me, so that was exciting for them. But when I got to middle school, I think people looked at me, like I was starting to get older. So people looked at a 13-year-old girl and they're like, oh, you're still writing books about cupcakes? Like, you're such a baby.
Right.
So people would call me the cupcake girl, or they go up to me and go, oh, can you put me in your next book? Like, no, if you're no, you're not going to be in my next book.
Yeah.
So like over time, it's kind of hard because I've had to fight this reputation of being the cupcake girl and show people that I'm more than that. And my writing is more than just children's books or cupcakes. So I'm actually working on a book right now. It's my first book.
So great.
So stay tuned. It also focuses on dating and teen dating. So
and is it about, are you using your own experiences or is it completely fictional?
So I'm using my own experiences. This is a passion project I started over quarantine. I thought it was just an article. I was going to pitch it to a bunch of publications, and I showed my friend And she said, this is a book, Carrie. You're literally Carrie Bradshaw. You've got to publish this. You can be the Carrie Bradshaw of your generation. So that kind of stuck with me, and I just ran with it. I've been writing nonstop for a year.
That's great.
I'm really trying to teach people through my own experiences how to navigate these extremely difficult waters of teen dating.
And so many questions, but one, are you nervous about like when the book gets published, the people in your life who it's about, or like the relationships that maybe you had with someone that is in it, like what are they gonna say to that?
Every guy I wrote about in that book did me dirty, so no, I
so you don't care, right?
I'm honestly excited to see. I'm excited to hold these people accountable because some of the stuff that I've gone through is so wrong. And I want this book to be out there, and I want, you know, a 13-year-old girl to be like, oh my God, that just happened to me at a bat mitzvah. Like this guy just, you know, chased after me and asked me to hook up when I'm literally not even interested in him. So like all these like random weird things that I went through, I want people to see that it's actually normal, and I'm almost like their big sister and trying to help them through it.
Is it normal at 13, 14 to be under these pressures of relationships? I mean, it's awfully young. I mean, I know it used to be spin the bottle. Now it's much more serious than spin the bottle. Is there, what about the young women or the young guys who don't want to be in these kind of things? Is there pressure on them? Is there bullying against them that they're not part of the group doing, you know, having relationships at that age? I mean, do you feel that it was a positive experience, or as you're saying, all miserable experience?
I mean, okay, I was 13 years old when I had my first like real kiss, like my first hookup, whatever. So, I mean, it was weird because there was almost like this unsaid like rule that at least once you have to kiss a guy at a bar or bat mitzvah, which is kind of messed up. So all my friends were kissing guys for the first time. And when like I found out that, oh, maybe like this one guy is interested in me after a bar mitzvah, I was like, oh, I'm so excited. Like my first kiss, whatever. So we were actually in an Uber, and he said, hey, baby, want to hook up?
Oh, like, yeah. Oh, God, this is so sad.
It's so sad. And I feel like writing about that, like people are going to be, oh my God, wow, that happened to be. But besides that, I'm not saying there aren't some people out there who have had successful relationships at age 13. Like, you know, it's
a little young.
No, I don't think so. I think by 14, at least, like this starts becoming, whether you're a part of it or not, it's happening like amongst you or your peers. Like people start to like, hormones come into play, right? You start to think about like, I have a crush on this person. I was having crushes at 8. So like, I think it happens before that, but no, I think it's like I'm so excited for this because I think there needs to be like more conversation around it in a less shameful way. And like, you don't want to necessarily talk to your parents about these things. So like, where are you getting the information from? I would just Google everything on Cosmo. Like that was like the only way I was getting information. And no, it's so funny because my first kiss was a little later. I was 14. And I remember the guy, like, I didn't know what I was doing. I feel like I like blacked out during like the kiss / makeup, probably from nerves. And I remember after he was like, if you want some tips, like I'm going to give it to you. And I was like, why are you telling me I'm a bad kisser? Like my first kiss. And I remember he was like, you're supposed to move your tongue in this way. And I was like, you know what?
That's horrible.
But at the time, I actually really liked the guy. So I think I just internalized that, you know what, this is therapy. Maybe that's why I'm making bad decisions today about dating. But you know what, like this, people think that like, oh, I've hooked up with 3 girls. You haven't hooked up with any. I can teach you. Like, I know things that you don't. And there's like a very weird culture around a lot of this. So
hey, I've been called inexperienced just because, you know, I haven't done as much as like some other guy, but like, that's my decision. Like if I want to wait.
Exactly.
So yeah, but I write a lot in my book, kind of back to like the 13, 14-year-old dating scene thing, about the importance of leading with your head sometimes and not just leading with your heart. because I think that's the difference between a 14-year-old pursuing a relationship and a 19-year-old.
Right.
Like I've gotten so much smarter over the years because I've lived and I've learned a lot. Whereas a 14-year-old will kind of just go goo goo gaga over a guy and be like, oh, whatever. Like, I'll just go to his apartment. Like, I just met him. Like, why not? Here I go. Whereas like a 19-year-old is like, I just met this person. Let me take a step back and realize that this is not a good idea.
I actually think it's sad. I don't think a 13, 14 or 15-year-old even has the emotional stability. I mean, that's the problem. I mean, you know, everybody wanted to have a kiss or maybe do a little necking. But I think the problem is you're not emotionally ready to go any further. And I think either being pressured by a fellow, maybe who was the same age or a little older, it's a bad thing. Because
so did that just not happen when you were younger, or what was
it? Didn't really happen because most people didn't have at 13 or 14, it certainly didn't happen.
Yeah.
And if it happened at 16 and 17, you know what usually happened? The girl got pregnant, had to drop out of high school and got married. Right. That's really what happened. And I did know girls in high school who unfortunately never completed high school and had a family and whatever. And, you know, it ruined their lives, or maybe not. I mean, you know, but it did change their lives forever. I mean, today is a different situation. There's a whole other
with birth
situation.
Control,
Exactly. Exactly. And people, but I still think 13 years old is young. And I think the parents, I think some of the, I'm a big blamer on the media. I think all the stuff we see on the big screen and all this, it makes kids want to do things they're not emotionally ready for.
That's true. Those Netflix rom-coms.
Oh, we were talking about that.
We were talking about rom-coms, but not necessarily Netflix rom-coms.
Any rom-com.
Like which ones do you mean?
Oh, I was thinking of like To All the Boys I've Loved Before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those
glorifying.
No, I just am curious because a lot of my friends haven't like watched those movies. So I mean, we watched like the rom-coms with like Along Came Polly and like and I'm sure you do too, obviously.
All the old school ones.
But old school, yeah.
10 Things I Hate About You.
Right, like exactly. But they're still making it, right? Like they're still making these things on Netflix, a little less so. I kind of miss the rom-com, but I think there needs to be like a healthier rom-com.
Same, more realistic.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, we watch TV and movies knowing that it's fantasy. So like, I don't think anyone wants to sit there and be like, this is reality. Like that's not fun. But I think it can't, like the narrative has to be a little bit different.
And I think some people really take it for that's going to happen to them. And it really isn't going to happen to them. This is all made up.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wish I had your grandma for my first heartbreak to help me, because literally when I went through my first heartbreak, I had my grandma like sitting downstairs. I was in the Hamptons and I had to leave early because I'd been heartbroken for the first time. I came downstairs crying. I was like crying in her lap, and like she didn't have any advice to offer. Like I love her so much.
Well, because she never had an experience like this. I mean, you know, that's the issue. An older generation, certainly your grandmother, for the most part, didn't ever see this. I mean, it didn't happen like this. Dating didn't happen in the same way.
True.
So I think I see it because Kimmy has exposed me to a whole variety of things now. But I mean, you know, really, most of us were very sheltered in our relationships, and we didn't have as many relationships as the younger people today have. And that's for better or for worse. I mean, sometimes maybe it's for the worse. But whatever. I mean, I think we can't blame the old-fashioned grandma, because they really want the best for you, but they don't understand how to communicate it really in your terms. So explain some stuff to her.
She's gonna see this and be like, thanks, Carrie. No, what I will give her is sometimes you kind of just need someone to hug you and hold you and tell you everything's going to be okay. And she did that. I was never really close with my grandma until the pandemic. And that moment was kind of like a turning point where I'd never like hugged her and like cried in her arms. And she would just like tell me that everything was going to be okay. And that if I needed to leave the Hamptons, if I needed to leave her there, it was fine.
So how did the pandemic change your relationship? Were you like just spending more time together, or?
Yeah, we were neighbors. I wasn't dating for like the first probably like 11 months of the pandemic because I was living so close to my grandma and I didn't want to put her in danger. So I was very sheltered. I'd spend like every day with my grandma, and like I had like one scare. I think it was like January 2021 where I like kissed a guy and I was like, oh shoot. Like I live next to my grandma, and get this, the guy like right in the middle of us making out gets a text, and it's his parents. COVID. His mom has COVID.
Oh no.
So like I came back into my house and like it was probably like 3 a.m. and I was like, Mom, they're gonna kill me. And she was like, what happened? And I was like, I kissed a guy. And she was like, okay, it's okay, like, you're gonna be fine. And I was like, no, you don't understand, like his mom has COVID. And her face was like, because I've been so careful for 11 months. So I was screamed at, I was crying. Like I said, I cried to my grandma. I was like, I'm sorry. And she was like, it's okay, whatever. So I walked around in the house in a mask for a week.
Right.
And my dad moved out for a week. He was so pissed.
Oh my God. Did you ever get it?
No. 2020 was horrible in terms of dating, especially like for me, because I was so close to my grandparents. I just wasn't going to risk it.
It was also terrible for Kim's brother, who there was no graduation. There were no prom. No, she's a little younger.
No, me too. I had 19. No graduation, no prom.
Oh, the same age as my grandson. Okay. Oh, yeah. You had nothing. You literally had nothing. I mean, it was the most frustrating.
Okay, so come on. You're rubbing in it. You're like, you have 0 left.
I have nothing.
No, she has everything in front of her.
I got my diploma sent in the mail.
Yeah.
I also freshman year of college is also like a really fun time, especially for like to make out with, do you know what a DIFMO is?
No.
I don't know what a DIFMO is.
Oh my God, really? It's a dance floor makeout.
Kimmy, I think you make up these terms.
DFMO. Dance floor makeout. Really? Maybe it's like no one says it.
And I don't even know the name for it.
Right, exactly.
Can I write it down for my book? Okay.
Yeah, obviously.
But give Kimmy credit.
I didn't create it.
Oh, right.
Yeah, freshman year, that happens a lot. Like you DIFMO with everybody. And you also did a reality show.
Yeah.
Next influencer, Paramount Plus. How were you approached to do that? And it seems like maybe was it not a positive experience?
Okay, first question. I sent in a self-tape because my friend hosts the show and he always talks about how much fun it is. I love California. I was excited for the opportunity to stay in California for 2 weeks. So, what can go wrong?
So taping was only 2 weeks.
Yeah. And they pretended it was 10 weeks. Yeah. Was it a good experience?
It was a learning experience. Let's put it that way.
Wait, so why? Just because like you realized reality TV wasn't meant for you, or you didn't like your castmates, or like was there one thing?
Well, I mean, all of the above. I feel like, it's reality TV. There's a lot of drama. I'm a big fan of The Bachelor. So honestly, I should have known better going into it that, it's reality TV. They kind of like, they make
dramas up.
Yeah.
So like the producers do, or like do you all play along in that? Like, did you try to be more dramatic than you really are?
No, that's the thing. Like I was myself the entire time and I was so confused because they put us in these situations that are like not normal. Like I'd be having a private conversation with someone and then someone would walk in screaming because they just happened to be eavesdropping next door.
Right.
So they kind of set it up to happen. But in reality, like if I'm having a private conversation with someone, it's not going to be on camera.
No, of course not. Yeah.
And they have GoPros in our rooms capturing like our private conversations. I was talking to a friend from home because that was the only person like I could confide in, and they were capturing our private phone conversations.
I think it's just awful.
Yeah. Obviously, like these people like sign themselves up to do it, and like so they can't. It's not torture.
Well, no, but you're saying it is torture.
It is torture. I agree with the grandma.
Yeah. Because you have no privacy and they distort the reality. It's
exactly,
not It's a
I
distortion.
signed myself up for reality TV, but I did not expect to be the center of all the drama on this show, which was kind of ridiculous because in reality, like I just don't give two F's about drama. Like I don't even care. And they literally take this one situation, me being truthful with a friend, and they turn it into Carrie's a snake, she's a snitch, she's a clown, she's a psycho, she's manipulative. I can literally go on and on. I get these messages all day. But that's what's like so wrong. Like I'm a real person. I have feelings. My intentions all along were to be truthful, but they spin it into something else and
ruins your life.
Well, it either ruins your life or like some careers are made.
Yeah, but I still think they're bad side effects.
It's not ruining my life because I feel like I'm using this as fuel. Like I'm going to be transparent. Like I was bullied on that show. I was bullied a lot. Like all of these people in the house, like I feel like they were manipulated and into thinking this opinion about me that's just untrue. And I'm using this as an opportunity to call attention to bullying because people literally just think bullying is commenting about someone's physical appearance or punching them in the face. Like all those cliche things about bullying that you've heard. Bullying is so much more than that. Bullying is about like tricking other people into thinking someone's a bad person. Like I do some explaining on the show about psychological bullying. This is something that I've been like trained in a lot. It's literally morphing someone's mindset to believe something about someone else that's untrue.
How has your peers like in college or like the friends that you've made in New York City, like how do they approach you? Like did they know who you were? Like do you get nervous about people wanting to be friends for the wrong reasons?
Yeah, all the time. I have a really solid group of friends from college that I'm grateful for because I never had that in high school. Nobody got it in high school. I'd be looked down upon. I was always seen as that cupcake girl because I was at the same school, K through 12. Right. So that kind of never went away. But in college, it was a fresh start. I'm a journalism major. Everyone in my classes shares the same interest as me, which I love. I also have a lot of friends who are in TikTok, love the influencer industry, and I can relate to them, which is great. But yes, as you said, there are some people who will use me for clout, who will meet me, and the first thing they'll say is, oh, let's take an Instagram story together. When all I want to do is get to know you. I actually had one guy who I was on a date with, and I was telling him like an anecdote about being at like some social media convention, and I referenced like Addison Rae, and he was like, "Oh my God, you know Addison Rae? Can I have her number?" Like we were on
she's like one of the top TikTok people.
I mean, I just think it's just
come on,
you're with somebody, but don't do that. This just
What happens like when you meet a guy and they follow you on Instagram and they're like, oh shit, like millions of followers?
Oh my God, it's the hardest thing for me. Like, I avoid it for so long because I feel so awkward about it. But like usually I give someone my number first, which I think that's not like the best thing. But I'd rather them like talk to me first and get to know me and then like follow me on Instagram.
Yeah, that's fair.
And figure it out first. But I've literally had guys like slide in on Locks Club and say, "Are you internet famous?" And I responded, "No." I'm not ashamed of my social media. It's something I've worked hard on.
Yeah.
Hide it from people, but like my main hope in like pursuing a guy is that they're kind of able to see past the followers and the numbers and like recognize like, oh cool, you have a social media, that's really impressive that you were able to build this platform. Not oh my God, like this is so cool, like you post with me. Like there's a difference. Like if someone tries to understand the business side of what I do, I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I have a few social media like related questions because I wanted to see if there really is a difference between being 26 and 19 when it comes to dating, especially. So Snapchat, I want to discuss Snapchat because like no one that, well, actually some of my girlfriends like will use Snapchat and stuff, but like if I'm dating older guys, like they're not on Snapchat. How prevalent is it for you guys?
So I use Snapchat to post stories for my followers. Like for that purpose, yes.
So you have followers on Snapchat?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't even know that was like a thing.
That's the thing. They have like a subscribe button on Snapchat. That's the other thing why I don't like giving my Snap to a guy, because then instead of like add friend, it says subscribe.
Oh.
And they're like, they feel kind of like weird
Right.
about that.
Right. Okay.
So, but you're totally right. Guys are not into Snapchat, at least in my own experience.
Mhm.
If they're older, I usually like date a little older. So I think I'm at the age where Snapchat's kind of going for
Okay.
dating. So
Right.
if you're 16, 17, it's like you slide into someone's DM, hey, what's your Snap?
That's
And I
so
write about that in
funny.
the book.
If you like a guy, how often are you like looking to see if they've posted a story?
I don't. I mean,
Yeah, I
If a
don't
guy-
know why you have to look at his story. That's what I don't get.
no, if a guy's active on, okay, it's weird because the Instagram algorithm, it shows people's posts that you like interact with the most
Right.
on the top of your feed. So if like, let's say a guy's post pops up on my feed and I like it often, then his stories will show up on my feed more. So if I see his story on top, yeah, I'll tap through it, but I'm not like actually like
Looking.
stalking. Yeah.
Right. Good.
Okay. That makes one
Good.
of us.
Good.
Thank you.
Good.
Stalking is a very real thing. Like I've ended up on like exes, new girlfriends, exes pages.
Oh yeah, that yes.
Yeah.
I will admit to that. I've stalked an ex before, but
Right.
like who hasn't?
Of course. Yeah. Who hasn't? Girl?
Me. once they're an ex, they're out. They're gone.
Well, that's why we
Aren't
can
you
all.
curious about what they're doing though?
Not really. If I was curious, I would have stayed with them. And if they dumped you,
Yeah.
then who cares? I mean, I think what happens is you just have to end things. People drag things on now.
Well, it can be over, and you still like you
Oh,
want to.
who
You just are
cares? Move
curious.
on. No, I'm not curious. I'm
Okay.
not curious anymore about an ex.
Okay. So, Carrie, I want to end the episode with a game that we play with all of our guests, Grandma Gail's old fashioned dating quiz. So basically, we go through a few scenarios, hypotheticals, and then we will deem whether you're more of a traditional dater or modern dater.
I'm scared.
And I hope your mother isn't listening to these questions.
She's right here.
Oh gosh. Forgive Kimberly.
I'm
But
sorry.
Those are Kimmy's questions, not Grandma
I'm
Gail.
excited. Let's go.
Okay. Would you rather receive a call or a text from the person you are dating?
Text.
Okay. Would you sleep with someone on the first date?
No.
Good.
Dating apps or setups?
Setups.
Move in together before getting, this is a little in the future, but before getting engaged, or wait until you're engaged to move in?
She doesn't have to think about this yet.
No, look, if it depends on the time, right? Like if it's 9 months into dating or like a
Mhm.
year into dating, then like maybe I'd consider it. But if it's like, I don't know. I'm going to say for now,
Mhm.
I would consider moving in before getting engaged.
Okay.
Okay.
And should the guy pay for the date or should you alternate?
The guy pay for the date unless it's like his birthday or something.
Right. Okay. So 3 out of 5.
She's traditional.
Traditional.
She's traditional. Yay for me. Yay for my side.
I had a feeling when you were reading some of them, like what was traditional and what wasn't.
Carrie, thank you so much for joining us. Tell everyone how they can find you and follow you.
You can follow me on Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, any social media at Carrie Berk with an extra K at the end. And you can tune into my show or not on Paramount Plus called Next Influencer. And also stay tuned for my book.
We hope you enjoyed the episode with Carrie. Thank you for coming back every week. Rate us 5 stars. We're at Excuse My Grandma on TikTok and Instagram if you don't follow us already. And we'll see you next week.
Bye.